Hello, my name is Wesley. Of course they started their lawnmower. Of course. When you're someone of my abilities, word gets out, and you often find people are coming up to you on the street and asking for many requests. Always wanting a favor, always wanting something. So, I'm minding my own business the other day, and who comes up to me but my husband? He says, I need a shirt for a special event. So first of all, what is the special event I wasn't invited to? Secondly, I'm supposed to just make him a shirt. Thirdly, I'm kind of lazy about making a shirt, so can't we just upcycle something instead? So having said that, let's upcycle a shirt! Here is a list of things you will need. Scissors, sewing machine, a pile of old clothes, bin of scraps, iron, ironing board, sewing accoutrements, and a bag of imagination. So the first step to any good project is to change your outfit. Or just put on an apron. That's okay too. So to start off with, this project's going to be a little bit different than ones we've done in the past. Because the thing I'm making isn't specifically the thing you might be making. You might not be making anything at all. You might just be watching this for the thrill of making weirdo. Anyway, because the thing I'm making isn't necessarily the thing you're making, you might have different results or different materials or different everything. You're probably in a different building altogether. Maybe you're in your office. I don't know, you should be doing work instead of watching me make things on the internet. Actually, no, keep watching me make things on the internet. I actually enjoy that. So because this is a piece for a very special client, I always will begin by thinking about the needs of said client. My client needs a shirt for a special occasion, a secret special occasion that I better be damn invited to. So because my client is the way my client is, this stack is mainly just old t-shirts. So many old t-shirts. But that's okay, there's also a couple other things in here. First thing you're going to want to do is look at all your stuff and just see what's there, what you can work with. Lay it out, throw it on the floor, try it on. I don't know, whatever you want to do. Your life. So out of this pile, I've selected 2 items. This one and this one. Here is a closer look at the shirts I have chosen to use. My plan is to overlap them to become one shirt. So I know right now you're sitting at home thinking to yourself, but Wesley, how will you combine those shirts? They're 2 very different materials, and they're also 2 very different styles. Well, the truth is, I don't know, but I'm going to try hard to make it happen. So my plan is to cut out the panels of this shirt and replace them with panels cut out of this shirt. It sounds mysterious. I think you'd agree. It's gonna give it a new outlook. So, let's begin. At this point, I've already cut out the front panels of the first shirt. I'm going to save these because they'll be useful later. Notice how there's a discrepancy. How will I fix this? Luckily, I have a bin of scraps. Watch as I dig through them. Does this one look familiar? If it doesn't, you should watch my previous videos. Perfect, I think this is just what I need. I will cut this into strips to give me the length I need. Now that looks nice. So now that everything is laid out exactly as I want it, I'm going to use a chalk pen. It doesn't make my hands feel gross. I'll start by tracing out this pink part. Now that everything's traced out, I can begin to cut out the shapes I will need from this shirt. This is looking a little crazy. I'm going to start by cutting this shirt in half. Literally just in half, but not the way you would think. Just watch. In half. Now that that's out of the way, let's cut out this. This pattern is egg-citing. No, it's eyes, not eggs. So now that I've cut out the first part of my bee, I'm going to hold off on cutting out the second. I realize that if I do, I'm just taking out part of the shirt, and what I want to do is make it longer. So, having cut the first part, I'm just going to pull it apart and increase the length. That's perfect. Now, I have to fill this gap with something, but what? Remember? Fabric scraps! Everyone loves fabric scraps. Especially when you have to store them in a large bag in your house for years until eventually they're useful for something. As you can see, I've placed my pink strips in there and increase the length of the shirt. But is it enough? I'm gonna lay this one over top to find out. Once I made sure everything was lining up correctly, I then sewed my pink strips together to form a chevron. Once my chevron was formed, I sewed it to the t-shirt. I was sure to use lots of pins so nothing moved, and because the jersey material of the t-shirt stretches more than the pink cotton, I was sure to sew with the jersey material upwards facing myself. This way the jersey isn't being pulled into the sewing machine at a faster rate than the cotton. So now that I've sewn everything in place, I'm just going to iron it to make sure it all looks smooth and professional. Refreshing, one could say. Now I'm going to grab my pins and just pin everything in. Sure. Pin here. Looks good. More pins? Why not? Who doesn't love a good pins? Now we can sew again. So now that I've sewn everything together, I'm just going to iron it all out. Now I do have a little bit of a seam pucker right here. Now that's okay, because the quality of your screens probably means you can't see it. Alright, so the front panel is complete. Now we can throw our ironing boards on the floor. So now that this part's done, I can lay the other part over just to see where everything's going to line up. But before I do that, I'm going to cut this in half. So my panels, I'm going to take them and lay them where I think I want them. Okay, so now that everything's lined up where I want it, I'm just going to take my chalk pen and trace out where I want everything to go. So the cool thing about my chalk pen is not only does it not make my hands feel gross, but it also washes off a fabric really easy. That's another good thing to remember. Don't be giving people things that aren't clean. No one wants a tote bag that smells like your gross house. Now that everything's marked, I can go ahead and cut it out. Oh, that's nice. That's gorgeous. Also remember to cut a little bit bigger for seam allowance. So now my panels are cut out. I admit they look a little jaggedy and different sizes and crazy, but just trust me, this project's going to be beautiful when it's done. It's all going to look nice. So now that everything's done, I can go to the sewing studio and sew this all together. I'm also going to serge the seams on the inside just to provide more comfort for the wearer. If you do not have a serger at home, you can do a zigzag on top of the seams, although that's kind of hard and usually tangles up my machine, so don't do that. You could also cut them with shears. That's when the triangles, triangles. So that helps to stop fraying. Because this is a stretch material, it's probably just going to roll over anyway. But because I like to do things in a certain kind of way, the right way, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to serge those. So if you're watching this and you're thinking, there's 5 better ways to be doing that, just remember, you're wrong. I'm good at everything, and this is probably the best way to be doing this. So before I begin to sew, it's important to remember that I should pin these together. Just keep on pinning. So now that I've pinned in one side of either panel, I've gotten over the whole situation entirely. I think I'm going to go sew each side down separately. That way, I'm not going to get pin fatigue and get bored of this project and leave it in a ball on the floor. So now that I've sewn these 2 bits in, just on these sides, I'm going to go ahead and pin the other sides. I think this might make my life a little bit easier. Everyone loves pins. This is probably what I would call a medium to advanced project. So remember, if you're doing this at home, it could take you up to several years to finish this project. So as you pin, you just want to make sure that everything's lining up exactly where you want it. None of my things are lining up, so this is going to be a wild adventure. Now that I have finished the arduous task of pinning all these panels in place, I can go and sew. But instead, something else happened. So at this point, I had planned to show you the rest of the shirt. I was going to show you how I used the scrap pieces to make a new bottom for it, and how I found that shape by tracing an old shirt. Unfortunately, as soon as I began to film, my phone died. And of course, I didn't bother to check until I was done the whole process, having thus completed the shirt and filmed none of it to show you. This is why it's important for you to like and subscribe, so eventually my videos can become monetized, and then I can buy a new camera and this will never happen again. Did you know if everyone watching donated just $1, I'd probably have about $5 to $10? Did you know if everyone watching donated at least $50,000, I'd have enough money to continue this channel for the next year? Anyways, here's the shirt. I added the panels we removed from the front to make the pieces on the bottom. As you can see, I added a splash of pink just for some jazzy fun, and to tie in the pink to the rest of the shirt. Once I was done sewing everything together, I then top stitched it all down and ironed it flat, just so it looks professional. Well, now that we finally made it through that long and arduous process, it's time to call our prestigious client and see if he actually likes the results. John! So this is John, and also the moment of truth. Do you actually like the shirt? Well, good. Mission successful. I'd like to thank everyone for... What's that? Fashion show? Fashion show at lunch? Well, okay. Well, now that that's over and done with, I'd just like to say, while that project was a lot of fun, it was one of the more difficult projects that I have taken on, but I had a lot of fun while doing it and my client was more than thrilled. I hope that in doing this project, or at the very least watching me do this project, will make you rethink the next time you go to the store to buy something new. Maybe you could reuse what you already have in your closet at home. So until next time, thank you for watching, like and subscribe. Bye!